Greetings and welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. Angela Kudja, founder of Legacy Holistic Health Institute, metaphysician, energy healer, yoga therapist, and holistic health coach. Now, if you're returning to this channel, I want to thank you so much for your likes, your shares, your comments, your subscribes. All of your support means the world to myself and to those who are a part of this institution. If you're new to this channel, we welcome you with open arms and an abundance of information that will hopefully give you the evolution, the expansion, and the insight that you're looking for along your journey. Today, we're going to be talking about the third eye chakra. Now, this is the next one in our series. You've probably already watched quite a few videos on the different chakras. You've probably already gone through the root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, and throat. Now we're at the third eye. And we're going to talk a little bit about what causes the third eye to be imbalanced, what does it signify, and then some incredible ways to start to heal and balance our third eye. Now, the third eye is represented by a two-petal lotus, and it's also represented by the color indigo. If you're not familiar with what indigo looks like, it looks like a cross between a purple and a royal blue, but it looks more purple than it does blue, if I could put that into context for you. And so when we're talking about the location of the third eye, it's the second chakra in the spiritual or the more higher level consciousness chakras. So remember, the heart chakra, which is at the level of the heart, sits between the lower or physical chakras, which are going to be your solar plexus right above the navel, sacral right at the reproductive system, and root right at the tailbone of the spine. Those are the lower level physical chakras, or your lower body physical chakras. And then the heart chakra is in the middle. And then we have our upper chakras, which govern the spiritual spaces. We just covered throat. We are now at the third eye. The third eye, most people like it to be represented as the space between the brows, but the third eye is directly connected to the pituitary gland in the brain. And so a lot of people say they have a calcified pituitary gland actually leads to, decalcifying the pituitary gland actually increases insight, innovation, dreams, and things like that. So when we're looking at where this is actually located, we represent it by the space between the brows, and it can be not just, it's for most people, the third eye is already open, okay? For most of us, the third eye is already open. And I don't know how to say that any plainer. What we have to do is get in the habit of sensing it. And when we go on a spiritual journey or journey that gives us greater insight, then we get the opportunity to start sensing this. This is the chakra that gives us insight and information that we actually normally would not receive. And so when we're talking about this, the third eye chakra technically sits halfway through the front of the head and halfway through the side of the head. Where those points meet for you inside the head is right where your pituitary gland sits, and it's usually what represents this particular chakra. Now, it governs our dreams. It governs our ability to harness wisdom, to be able to understand things. It governs insight, spiritual insight, and it also governs spiritual awakening as well. When we're looking at things that happen when the third eye is we're either not sensing it, or we're at a place where for some people it can be closed or completely calcified over. And I'm going to tell you something. When it comes to individuals who have this kind of chakra imbalance, it manifests as headaches. It manifests as a foggy brain. It can sometimes manifest as inability to pay attention to one thing, or to focus, or lack of focus. It can also manifest as like anxiety. A lot of times these come from things that happen early in childhood. Believe it or not, that's when this chakra is actually being developed. And so it's important that we understand that when it comes to this particular chakra, that we have a heightened sense of self-awareness. We have a heightened sense of intuition, which is what this governs, and that we're able to remember our dreams and have some sense of understanding about what our dreams actually mean, or the messages that our dreams are actually trying to show us or give us. We also want to keep in mind that when it comes to dreams, dreams happen or dreams show up to give us insights and information in ways that we are not ready to receive or have the inability to receive during waking hours. So everyone dreams. It's kind of like the way that God gives you insight without bugging you throughout the day. I kind of help people kind of remember that. So knowing that it's important that you get proper rest, and it's important that you understand your dreams, or you have someone around you who can do some kind of dream interpretation. Because I have a very open and vibrating third eye, I am highly intuitive. I can sense things that other people just normally may not be in tune to. Even if I don't say anything, I can sense it. And a lot of times I won't say anything, I'll just act accordingly, so that because I never know where other people are on their journey. So I just make sure I govern myself accordingly when it comes to infinite wisdom that is coming through me. You may also get a lot more visions. You'll get downloads. You'll get a lot of things happening when your third eye is flourishing. It is in harmony. You may be someone that, if you're someone who your third eye is open, but you're just getting to a space in your journey where you're starting to sense it, you may have these doubts. You might say, well, that can't really be true. But healing your third eye also has to do with trusting your inner wisdom. That's a huge part of third eye and the third eye journey, the use of the third eye in the journey. It is to give you the insight that you normally cannot get using just your physical means. So it's giving you that heightened sense of intuition so that you can act and govern yourself accordingly. So also, when we're talking about third eye, imbalances, another sign of third eye imbalances has to do with being stuck in thought or being stuck in theory. So one of the things I always like to say is the only constant is change. Now, I don't know who said it before me, but I'm sure somebody did. When the human being starts to ask questions about evolution, when they start to question higher consciousness, this is one of the ways they start to sense their third eye opening. When, especially when someone who's younger, starts to have a sense of intuition about things and they bring it to adults, it's important that the adult listens and understands that a heightened sense of intuition can happen specifically for younger people. People who are much more mature and a little bit older, grown, or however you want to call it, tend to have their intuition dimmed by what they have been taught, institutions that they have adopted. These can be religious institutions or practices. Religious institutions or practices is the number one way to shut down your crown chakra. It is. It's about understanding how these disciplines can coexist while allowing you to still evolve. And so older people or people who are adults and grown usually have a much more tougher time sensing their third eye or using their third eye and trusting the wisdom that's coming through them. They usually don't start to do that until they start to break down what they've been taught and either unlearn or relearn something different that allows them to expand and evolve. And a lot of people go on a healing journey, and that's how they get this heightened sense of intuition. There are quite a few ways to start to sense your third eye and really tap into your intuitive gifts, talents, and spiritual gifts and abilities. And the third eye is the gateway to do all of that, right? So it's important that as a metaphysician, my third eye is wide open. I can sense all kinds of things even in the, like, just the nick of time, I'll say, hey, it'd be best if you took this route instead of that route. I can sense things. And I've gotten to a point in my life where I just trust, because I used to be one of those people who just didn't trust the wisdom. How can I know these things? Right. And so I got to a point where I just trusted the wisdom that was pouring through me. I trusted the downloads that were a part of my journey. And so what I want to talk about now is how we actually heal these. One of the number one ways to heal the third eye chakra or bring it back into a space of harmony is through fasting. And I know that this is something that is typically not talked about. But one of the things that I know for sure was when I implemented just intermittent fasting, and I'll talk a little bit about how I fast really quick in this video, but when I implemented intermittent fasting, I was doing the lean gains method. And we teach all these methods of fasting at Legacy when you train to become a holistic health coach. But the lean gains method basically is 16 and 8. 16 hours of non-eating or just water or staying in a fasted state, and then 8 hours in a feeding window. And you alternate these pretty much every single day. So I've done the lean gains method, I don't know, since 2013, 2014, right? Up until present day. And so I've shifted a little bit present day with how I fast. And I've learned that with the lean gains method, having a start and stop time for eating and having that open window of fasting for an extended period of time, it immediately made me so much more insightful and wise over the years. And so it helped me to trust my intuitive abilities and what is pouring out of me and how to then begin to take those next steps. Now, there are other chakras in my system at different points that need to go on different journeys. And I start to learn this through my third eye and through my crown, being able to communicate this type of wisdom to me. And so you may be the same way, are you one of those people who easily adopts different ways, evolution and change? Or are you someone who's immediately stuck, right? You can't allow yourself to have higher thought or expansive thought towards the evolution of the planet. Like, for example, people have several different opinions and things about AI, when in fact, it is an incredible tool to assist with so many different things. And it's almost about embracing the wisdom that it brings us versus looking at what we think we're going to lose because it exists, right? And so we have to be willing to have higher thought processes, a greater sense of intuition, and allow the wisdom within us to be brought forth. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about how we would actually go on a healing journey and what would we do. So I first said fasting. The longer you extend your fast or your non-eating window, the greater your chances of awakening or sensing your third eye. So for example, once a month, I will do 4 rounds of 36-hour fasting. So 36 hours fasting and 12 hours in an eating or for a feeding window. And I will alternate with these for 4 rounds once a month. After that, I will go back on to a 16 and 8 or a 24 and 24. One day eating, one day fasting, alternating between those. Now, I've not only noticed that it's much more beneficial for my physical body and my weight. I found that my weight stopped doing this. It stopped going up and down, and it started to gradually come down with less work at the gym. And I was able to allow my body to, when I did feed my body, it gave it this long extended window for it to be able to accommodate the food and actually digest everything and store everything properly in my body. And so one of the things that I found is that I age a lot slower. I have a lot more energy. I'm able to get more done. But the number one thing I've noticed is that my ability to think and focus and be intuitive is off the charts. My ability to be creative has shifted greatly. And my trust in that wisdom and intuition has gone through the roof. And so that is one of the things. So fasting is the number one way to tap into your intuition and turn that switch of your third eye, crown, and the mouth of God, because the energy is going to go up the body, up through the crown, and then it's going to circulate back to the back of the head where the mouth of God is, and it's going to create this loop of energy. So I want to make sure you are aware of how this chakra works. And so anytime the third eye, like we said, is blocked, you're gonna experience some of those symptoms that I mentioned earlier. When you're also at an awakening, a highly awakening time, like during different portal times, some people might have awakening symptoms, and part of that might equal a headache, or part of that might equal something that has to do with the head or your inability to focus. This can also be your third eye awakening or recalibrating itself to the new energies that are happening around you and the wisdom that's getting ready to pour through you. And so besides fasting, we can also do this with crystal therapy. The number one crystal you can wear for your third eye is amethyst. Lapis lazuli also works as well, but amethyst is going to be number one. You can put amethyst in places where you work, where you're spending a lot of your time. You can put amethyst in your altar spaces and things like that, but you want to make sure that you're aware of where this amethyst is going to go in your life. You could get small geodes, you can wear a necklace, you can wear amethyst bracelet, somewhere on your being or somewhere in the vicinity of your third eye. When you lay down and meditation is also another way to sense this third eye opening, this indigo glow in the space between the brows. When you have children or significant others that you truly love, one of the things that when you start to sense that they are getting more wisdom and more insight, or even when you pray for them, it is very important to also add what we like to call a third eye kiss. That they would then, if you're praying for God or a deity or something to cover them or be with them, you also want to have the wisdom from that deity pour into them so that they have the gift of discernment to be able to, trust the wisdom that they're getting. And so your third eye kiss, kissing them right on the middle of the forehead or in the top of the head. A lot of people do this all the time and don't think about it, but you're literally sealing that prayer for that child or that significant other. And so we must be aware of these things. We also want to be aware of people who do kiss our forehead that we don't have matched or great energy with, right? And so, or kiss us in the top of the head that we probably shouldn't be letting put their lips on us, you guys. I don't know. I hope you found that funny, but people, you're like, I probably don't want them. This is a very magical part of me, right? Magical part of me. You'll have people who want to protect their third eye, and they may do something to actually cover it. When you're meditating, which is another way to heal this, you can actually lay down and put a piece of amethyst over the third eye. Some people wear a crystal crown over their head when they're meditating, and it assists with this as well. And so it really is just about being aware of how your third eye works. You can also do, besides crystal therapy and fasting, you can definitely do dream journaling. Dream journaling is very powerful for understanding your third eye and writing down immediately what you see. It's important that you have a dream journal, and that is the one journal that should sit right beside your bed. Is the journal for you to write down your dreams and wisdom and things like that. You may not understand all the pieces in the beginning, but night after night, you may be getting a little bit of the entire vision that the universe wants you to go after, or for you to actually be guided on, right? And so I always tell people, you want to write down your dreams, but then you also want to set aside time to consciously meditate and go back and think over every single detail of the dream and pull out pieces that you normally wouldn't look at. Because dreams are like us watching TV, and you know how you might watch a show and you thought you saw everything, but then when you watch it with someone else, you say, oh, I didn't notice that person standing back there, or oh, I didn't notice that was the same kind of car in the background of my dream that I had growing up, or oh, I didn't notice that is someone else that I realized was there that I didn't see at first. What are you wearing? I always tell people to get all the details when we're looking at dream interpretation. What are the colors? Because they can be significant as well. What is the weather like? Where are you located? Do you recognize it or not? You know, because one of the things that I am extremely aware of is the fact that dreams give us insight and sometimes vision to things that are getting ready to happen, even if they don't happen verbatim with what we see in our dream. It's giving us different pieces. And then we are to look for the evidence of these things in real life so that when we cross them, we say, okay, I'm on the right path. My dream told me that this and this and this was going to happen next. So I believe I'm on the right path and I'm going to trust my wisdom and my journey here. Okay. And when it comes to being stuck in thought patterns, being stuck in beliefs, the way that you can determine if you're someone who's stuck in a belief pattern. So before I say that, I want to say that any type of belief, if you have to believe in something, you also have to carry a great sense of doubt that it is actually true. Here's what I mean by that. We either have things that we believe or we have things that we know. We have a sense of belief or a sense of knowingness. When it comes to your third eye is more on the side of the sense of knowingness. As you continue to heal your chakra system, you will go from what you believe or what you think might have truth to it to a knowingness and ability to stand firm in what you know to be your truth or you recognize as your knowingness and truth. And so the belief comes with a special sense of doubt, right? Like, for example, I know that I'm African American. I've done my ancestry. I have parents that come from African countries, right? And so I'm aware of the fact that I know I'm of African descent currently living in America. So I know that I can identify with it. I have the evidence of identifying with it, right? When it comes to a belief, you don't know specifically all the pieces that you were given and told to believe because you did not witness them. So there is always going to be some sense of doubt until you actually have witnessed something and you know it to be your truth, right? And so when we're looking at our third eye and we say, well, how do I know if I'm stuck in old beliefs, old patterns, things like that? Well, it's like you respond from a tape recorder. So when someone is saying something to you, instead of taking the information, running it through your third eye, thinking through this information in your mind, and then thinking about how you're going to formulate your response, most people have a response already ready to go. That's a guaranteed sign. Unless it's something like your name, unless it's something like your age, your address, things that you can rattle off relatively quickly. If it is an opinion, if it is how you are being guided, if it is all of these different things that you formulated as a direct connection to what you think you believe, and you already have an opinion ready to go, you already have a response that you can pop off, your third eye and your crown are probably out of balance, okay? So usually the third eye invites you, a big part of it has to do, and especially with your throat as well, has to do with creativity. And creativity allows us to evolve in human thought. And we have these higher chakras because the human being is supposed to have new thoughts. You're supposed to have new thoughts about everything you think you believe in. You're supposed to have new thoughts about it. You're supposed to, as you grow and as you evolve, the things that you believe should grow and evolve too, right? They should grow and evolve too. So if you've held on to beliefs that literally no longer serve you, but it was because you were told to believe it, you haven't done any extra research about whether or not it's true, it's a surefire sign that this third eye is not harmony and in the best harmony that it could possibly be in. I remember being someone who was always a part of the church. Now, my father was a Southern Baptist pastor. I was in church literally 7 days a week. By the time I was 12 years old, I was teaching Sunday school. I was just always involved in the church, volunteering, usher, choir. I was singing in the choir until well into my 20s, or singing in a choir or something well into my 20s. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed these things when I felt like that's what I should believe. I was never given an opportunity, right? I was learning the Bible by the time I was 4 years old, 5 years old, right? And so I was never necessarily given the opportunity. I was never really given the opportunity to actually decide what I wanted to believe. I just went ahead and went with what my parents had taught me. I went ahead and I went with what was just given to me. Later on in life, I went through seminary school and became an ordained metaphysical minister. And I was taught things completely different, but from the same religious or scriptural text. I was taught things in a very, evolutionary and expansive manner. And so I had to make sure I was willing to say, let me test what I think I believe. I know that these things were given to me, and I can see how they've been of benefit to my life. And I can see how they have also created walls within how I associate and what I do in my life. And that doesn't feel expansive to me. That no longer feels like what I want to identify with as my truth. And so for me, I ended up finding my way and asking the Most High, what is it that you would show me? If there were no walls, what is it that you would show me if I was truly open to human expansion and evolution? What is it that you would show me, God? And that was the question that I asked. And I said, there's got to be more. And I'm here for you to show me. And in doing so, I'm still here to serve other people. And that was when I would have to say it was when my third eye I was aware of what my third eye was. I was aware and I was able to begin to sense and feel. And I would get headaches. I would do a lot of different third eye meditations. I would do a lot of different things around the healing and the reharmonizing and the breaking down of old things and things that I thought I knew, but they were just beliefs that were cornered in doubts, right? And so I'm challenging you throughout this time that we have together as we learn about the chakras. I'm challenging you to then take this information and then begin to use it for yourself. Another way that we can heal this chakra besides meditations and fasting and dream journaling is also through mindfulness. And this is a basic sense of self-awareness, a basic understanding of who you are, what you're willing to do to learn more, sensing and being aware of how you respond, sensing and being aware of when you're stuck, sensing and being aware of when you have brain fog, when you are stuck in your thought processes, when you recognize beliefs, habits, ideas, rituals, things you've carried with yourself for years that have no real merit, right? And they're not rooted in expansion, which is what we know opens up the heart chakra and allows us to transmute any type of energy into loving energy. And so I'm challenging you on this journey as you learn about the higher chakras to do just that. Understand who you are, understand what it is you love to do, and how you can be so much more creative and expansive by allowing yourself to go on your journey. Listen, I never take the role of teacher lightly. And I know I always say this. Every single day when I open my eyes, I ask the God within me and the universe that surrounds me to use me. Use me today to bring expansion, empowerment to someone who needs it the most. Man, I hope you got something out of this video. Please hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button so that you know when we have new information coming out. Remember, there's one amazing series that happens every single month, and I go out of my way to set up time to make sure you have great content. If there is something more that you want to see, hit me in the comments. If you want me to teach about a specific metaphysical topic, right? Like altars, or like affirmations, and how to formulate those, and what do they look like, and how do some of them work and some of them don't. Abundance, getting into an abundant lifestyle, all of those things. So if you have something you want me to cover or teach as a licensed metaphysician and ordained metaphysical minister, put those in the comments, and I'm happy to share my gift with you and the rest of the world. I don't take the role of teacher lightly. I do hope you got something great out of this video. It's been a pleasure sharing time and space with you. Love and light, beautiful.